welcome to sunny morning here at the Dorado Royale in Mexico's Riviera Maya. It's just coming up to 11:33 and we're live here with you all day with lots of news. Today's top stories, lots of features and so much more, so stay with us throughout the day. And joining me is my very special co-host, Silvia Reza.
Thank you so much. Be ready, be prepared. Today we're going to speak about something very important to all of you that matters to all the couples, which is how to make relationships work. Stay here with us.
Join us, we've got lots of information. Don't go away. We'll be right back. So, good morning, Silvia. How are you today?
Oh, very excited to be here at Royal Dorado. Isn't this a great place?
This place is beautiful. It's got everything. And what a beautiful facility. And beautiful people. I mean, all the guests here, we're expecting at any time you're dropping in, join us here on the couch. We're here ready live. So if you fancy a TV challenge, you want to talk about all the top stories, we'd love to have you here, right, Silvia?
Absolutely. Welcome. Welcome to El Dorado.
So here we're going to do all the shows in English, so don't worry, we won't do anything in Spanish. But we're going to take a little look at today's breaking news and top stories. And one of the things that's disturbed me this week, unfortunately, is this subject again has come up about human trafficking, slavery. And I mean, it's such a worry. And anybody that has children and has become aware of the vast proportion of problems that surround this topic, it's an appalling human tragedy. And slavery is obviously, it's regarded as an organized crime. It's come out in the news that it's basically generating $39 billion a year, Silvia.
$39 billion a year. And you know, it's amazing because it seems like it never did anything about it. But there are a lot of associations out there, people helping, truly, you know, trying to avoid institutions, human rights commissioner in the world, even they are really putting some programs out there, you know, to prevent this in the schools, in everywhere. Companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I know at the level of society, I think it still hasn't reached, so the message hasn't quite penetrated yet, just how dangerous it is and how many people are at risk and in what parts of the world. I mean, it's coming out in the reports that we're looking at parts of sub-Saharan Africa. There's a lot of people migrating in the world today, right? We've seen the refugees in the Syrian crisis. We've seen people leading somewhat a refugee existence. Millions of people fled Syria. And one of the things that we're picking up on is it's those people that are more at risk.
Exactly. They're normally the poor countries where they're pulling people out of there. And I would say that one of the major factors is because of lack of education in general, lack of knowledgement or how to manage themselves. Because of course, if they have a need, first of all, and then all the someone is getting there to offer them their help, of course, they believe that most of the time, and they fell into the trap. And you know, sadly, along the time, they will discover that it was a trap.
Now, from your point of view as an expert, and you have to deal with people feeling marginalized as a therapist, and this is one of the big things that comes with it. These acts of degradation makes the victim feel, well, not just marginalized, I think the word is stigmatized, and that in certain countries, their cultures are so strict that for somebody to come forward and say, look, I'm a victim of this, they're rejected for that, you know, and that's something we've got to get over, is that stigmatization, right?
Exactly. But also, it's very true that the person who are the victims, normally, even they actually reject their help most of the time because they are used to, psychologically, they are used to punishment, they are used to walking away from help in general, and they're used to that. So it's very difficult to get into the real problem, psychological problem they have, and it's actually very slow the way people will be transforming into a new way of thinking and healing, because they went through a really horrible process in their lives as far as human, the concept of human can do to another human, right? In this matter, so it's horrible.
Well, it is, especially we talk about probably child exploitation, and it's not just the sex industry, it's also in industry too. I mean, we hear all the time about sweatshops, right? I mean, in parts of the subcontinent and in Asia, where children are thrown into, from the ages of 5 and 6 into manufacturing. And you look at those children, in years later, they show up with so many deformalities, and not just obviously the psychological trauma that comes, it's those physical traumas that also are part of it, right?
And definitely, and of course, their future lives, they will really be very apart from what they maybe one time they even thought about it, or their families. So because sometimes they're looking for them. I mean, they are missed.
They've gone missing.
Exactly.
And they're on a missing persons list. But by now they may be out of the country. I mean, a lot of this is about getting people when they're traveling, when they're moving, right? A lot of these victims are on foot perhaps, and I don't know what terms they use. I think I've heard of the words coyotes, where they try to pull people over the border and just disappear people, right?
Exactly. Oh, and they do whatever they want with them. And
they're very organized.
And it's very important. They're very organized, but also what is really very unbelievable is that there are many, right? But they have no knowledgement about life in general, that even though there are a lot more than 3 or 4 people that are like guarding them, then I mean, imagine this or picture this, like if there are 20 of them, of course they can even smash those 3 or 4 people down, right? But of course they don't really have the criteria, the enough vision to do something like that and to get rid of them. And that's why the person who shows the power, like all these people, all these this crime organization, then when they do that, then of course they just show fear to them, and of course they take advantage, and this keeps going and on and on and on.
The torment continues, and also the peril that these people are facing. I mean, we talk about children, we've also heard that 70% of the victims are women or girls, that are exploited. And it sometimes takes a long, long time for this truth to come out, for them to escape from their captors or to try to change that way of life, and come forward, report to the authorities. But again, feeling stigmatized, feeling afraid, it's holding them back, and it can go on for years, this type of abuse.
Exactly.
Before they come out and either escape or just say, look, this is enough. Now I'm older. There was one story about a girl in Mexico. Her name was Rocio. And she was basically groomed by a guy, another guy in Mexico from another village, and they became boyfriends. And she thought for the first 3 months their relationship as a couple was normal and was safe, and she felt great. But after 3 months, he obviously then revealed who he truly was. He became her pimp, and he prostituted her for 6 years. And she said eventually she was raped somewhere like 43,000 times in that time. I mean, what does that do to a person?
Exactly, and one of the things that has to do with that, Elliot, is that the family, parents, mother and father, we gotta really give recommendations to our children. So that means they don't fall into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So stakeholders are really trying to get into this now and try to prevent that people are coming forward. We need to go to a short commercial break. We'll be back with more analysis of today's top stories.